Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into one of the internet's most persistent and honestly, most viral mysteries. We're going to strip away all the noise and look strictly at historical data, documented media relationships, and the actual math behind the madness. Let's figure out exactly what is going on behind the scenes of the world's longest-running sitcom.
So let's get right into it. Do The Simpsons actually predict the future? I mean, if you've spent literally any time online, you've probably seen the viral claims, right? People argue that the creators of the show are either actual time travelers or part of some secretive deep state. And why? Because time and time again, this cartoon seems to broadcast massive world events years before they happen in reality. So is it just a massive coincidence, or is there a genuine methodology behind the madness here? Well, let's look at the evidence. You got to admit, the sheer accuracy of these viral predictions is undeniably eerie. For example, back in 1993, the show depicted a white tiger attacking its handlers. That was 10 years before the exact same tragedy happened to Siegfried and Roy. In '95, they featured smartwatches and a distinct triangular building in London. This was years before Apple Watches even existed or the Shard was built. In '98, they joked about Disney buying Fox, a colossal corporate merger that actually went down in 2017. Oh, and they even mapped out Lady Gaga's flying Super Bowl entry 5 whole years early. With track records like that, it's super easy to see why the internet is so captivated by this whole thing.
Section 1. Logic and Survivorship Bias.
To really get to the bottom of this phenomenon, we have to look through a rational lens. A perfect example of this logical approach is that famous 2001 episode showing Lisa as president in a purple suit, an outfit Kamala Harris famously mirrored at the 2021 inauguration. So, a magical prediction? Actually, scratch that. Not quite. You see, in American politics, Democrats are blue and Republicans are red. When a leader wants to visually symbolize unity, they naturally blend those two colors and wear purple. So the writers were simply following a logical historical pattern, rather than, gazing into a crystal ball.
And this brilliantly illustrates a psychological concept known as survivorship bias. It's the logical error of concentrating on the things that made it past a selection process and completely overlooking those that didn't. Think of it like going to a fair and throwing a dart at a balloon 10 times. If you miss 9 times but hit the bullseye just once, does that make you a master marksman? No way. It just means that if you take enough shots, probability dictates you're eventually going to hit the target. We remember the one epic hit, and we completely forget the 9 awkward misses. Which brings us directly to the math. 1,228,000. That is a massive number. The Simpsons has been on the air for over 36 years, with over 800 episodes. If you calculate an average of, say, 8 jokes per minute, that's 160 scenarios an episode, totaling over 1.2 million jokes. When you throw 1.2 million darts at the future, a few dozen are mathematically guaranteed to hit the bullseye. From a purely rational standpoint, these predictions, they're really just statistical inevitabilities.
Section 2. Predictive Programming and the CIA.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Back in 1950, the CIA launched Project MKUltra. This was a highly classified and, frankly, deeply unethical study on human behavior and perception, specifically trying to see if human thoughts could be artificially influenced. Well, public outrage eventually forced the project to officially shut down in 1973. But here's the thing. Intelligence operations rarely just throw away decades of expensive research. They evolve. 16 years later, in 1989, The Simpsons aired. Now, to be clear, there's absolutely no direct paper trail linking the two, but analysts do question how behavioral data from the Cold War might have transitioned into modern media strategies. And that leads us to a really fascinating, yet kind of unsettling theory known as predictive programming. Basically, this is the concept of subconsciously normalizing a shocking or futuristic idea by feeding it to society through entertainment, like movies or cartoons, before it actually happens in reality. By exposing people to these wild concepts in fiction first, the idea just kind of gets absorbed by the subconscious. Then, if that event actually happens in real life, the public isn't nearly as shocked because, well, they've already been psychologically prepped for it.
Section 3. Hollywood's Hidden Influence.
So you might be wondering, is there any actual proof of direct script manipulation? Absolutely there is. The Pentagon actually has an entertainment liaison office designed specifically to collaborate with Hollywood. Take the movie Hulk, for example. The original script named a military mission Operation Ranch Hand, but because that was the real name of a highly controversial chemical spraying operation during the Vietnam War, the Pentagon objected. They literally forced filmmakers to change it to Operation Angry Man just to protect the military's public image.
And it goes far beyond just one superhero movie. According to the book The CIA in Hollywood, between 1911 and 2017, the Pentagon actively backed over 800 feature films. We're talking massive hits like Iron Man and Transformers. And the CIA has a very similar office. When the comedy Meet the Parents was being made, the original script featured a retired agent showing off a collection of CIA torture manuals. The agency actually stepped in and had the scene completely removed. Furthermore, the hit TV show Alias was actively used by the CIA to run recruitment ads, portraying the life of a spy as, glamorous and balanced, entirely to shift societal perception. Intelligence agencies absolutely use media to shape narratives. It's a fact.
Section 4. The Elite Ecosystem. The source material highlights a rather brilliant out-of-the-box strategy used by the CIA called Threat Scenario Workshops. Here's how it works. The CIA brings hypothetical global threats to creative television writers. Why? Because writers aren't bound by rigid, straight-laced military logic. They can imagine the chaotic, emotional, totally unpredictable human reactions to these threats. The CIA then collects this data to simulate unpredictable chain reactions in the real world. Hollywood writers are actually highly valued assets for mapping out global scenarios.
This makes perfect sense when you realize exactly where these writers come from. The core writing staff of The Simpsons hold degrees from elite institutions like Harvard and Princeton. Graduates from these top-tier universities generally funnel into one of two overlapping paths. Some go to global think tanks to design future geopolitical scenarios, while others go into media and entertainment to build societal narratives. They are part of the exact same academic ecosystem, studying under the same professors and discussing the same global trends. It's like a giant, highly educated echo chamber.
And this elite access extends directly to the show's creator, Matt Groening. In the 1990s, Groening was a regular at exclusive TED conferences previewing unreleased futuristic technologies decades before the public even heard of them. Furthermore, 2019 court documents placed him as a passenger on the private jet of Jeffrey Epstein. Now, while we must absolutely condemn the horrific abuses associated with Epstein's network, Groening's presence on that flight log neutrally points to an undeniable fact. The creators of this show move in the absolute highest echelons of global power, wealth, and insider access.
Which makes certain jokes in the show incredibly eerie in retrospect. In a season 12 episode, way back in the year 2000, Homer accidentally reveals a plot about flu shots being used for mind control. He gets kidnapped and taken to an inescapable island. When he finally returns, he writes, "Attention! Some crazy creeps on an island somewhere are secretly running the world." When viewed alongside the real-world revelations of elite islands that we just discussed, the parallels are pretty chilling, aren't they?
The idea of small, elite groups shaping the future isn't just some cartoon punchline. Investigative journalist Daniel Estulin spent decades tracking the highly secretive Bilderberg Group. For instance, Bill Clinton attended a secret meeting in 1991. 2 years later, he was the U.S. president. In 1990, the group quietly discussed NATO expansion, which then played out exactly as planned over the next decade. And in 2018, they were mapping out global AI policies. High-level discussions about humanity's future happen behind closed doors all the time. It's entirely plausible that writers floating within that same elite ecosystem catch wind of these ideas long before they hit the mainstream.
Section 5. Controlling the perception.
Ultimately, it's not really about whether a cartoon genuinely owns a crystal ball. The true takeaway here is that perception control is a very real, very documented phenomenon. Whether it's the Pentagon altering a superhero script, the CIA using TV to recruit spies, or elite thinkers mapping out global shifts behind closed doors, entertainment is not just for laughs. It is a highly effective, continuously utilized tool for shaping exactly how society views the world. These narratives are carefully, meticulously constructed.
Which leaves us with a vital question to ponder. Are you just an audience, or are you an observer? Once you realize the intricate ecosystem connecting media, intelligence agencies, and elite policymakers, you stop passively consuming content. You see, an audience simply watches and reacts. But an observer? An observer analyzes why they are being shown something and who actually benefits from that narrative. The next time you watch a seemingly innocent show, remember to observe. Thank you for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning and always stay curious.